about life feeling bad for ourselves, or the person could choose instead to put on a face as if everything was okay. Now, a person would say, but what are you talking about? We know that one of the most basic tenets in Judaism is emet, truth. The foundation of our religion is truth. Is that an aspect, a dishonesty? And the answer is definitely not. Because if any of us wants to be honest, truly honest with ourselves, each and every one of us can look into ourselves and our circumstances and be able to identify things that we could be very happy about, things that we could consider ourselves very fortunate. The fact that we're sitting here instead of Mount Sinai Hospital in a bed where there are hundreds of people there. And again, we don't have to go into detail into describing all the various difficult circumstances and situations that all of us are familiar with. Different people who are no longer with us, people who left the world at a very early age, all kinds of assorted circumstances, where if a person wants to look at things properly, the Torah way, each and every one of us has to be able to focus on the positive. Focus on the positive, and the attitude being a positive attitude, a smile. A person who puts on that kind of face, our Torah promises, ki b'simcha teitzeon. With happiness, you can exit. You can exit from any kind of ditch, from any kind of difficult circumstance, from an exile, from an illness, whatever the problem is. Our Torah tells us that this is one of the most powerful tools that a Jew can use to be able to get out of the problem, out of the situation. In this circumstance, the fact that this person was able, he didn't know what was going to happen, he had no idea what's up ahead, and in fact, many people ask that question. If we knew, if I were to know that this struggle, this problem, is going to last another 6 or 7 days, or even 6 or 7 months, maybe I could handle it. But how do I deal with the fact that I don't know? I don't know if it's going to be 6 minutes, 6 hours, 6 years, chas v'shalom. No, we don't know. And why is it that way? Why does it have to be that way? Can't Hashem put an envelope in each of our mailboxes, at least enlightening us and giving us an idea how much longer this particular problem is going to continue? The answer is that one of the foundations of our understanding of what we're doing in this world is called Bechira. Bechira means free choice. The fact that in all of creation, with all the different things Hashem has created, inanimate objects, precious stones, plants, trees that are beautiful, that are very special, animals, the angels, the most important being in the creation, unquestionably, is the human being. And what gives us that specialness is the fact that we possess something that nothing else in creation has, and that is Bechira, free choice. A human being has the ability to conform, to study the plan of Hashem, to study the Torah, to observe the Torah, to observe the mitzvot, or to choose not to. And in order for Hashem to present an environment, a situation, where that choice is equal, the circumstances have to be the way they are in each and every one of our lives. The fact that we don't know, if we were to know in advance how things are going to turn out, it wouldn't be a test. There wouldn't be free choice anymore. Part of this free choice requires, necessitates that we don't know in advance. It requires a certain degree of faith. It requires faith in a creator, faith in Hashem, and it requires faith in ourselves, in our own personal success. This is part of this is part of being Jewish. Being Jewish requires not just believing in Hashem, not just believing in the Torah, but believing in yourself, having confidence that when we say Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Amim, that Hashem has chosen us from among the nations, it's not just in general terms, it's not just recount people, it's me personally. I have the privilege of being selected, chosen by Hashem, to have the ability to come closer to Him, to have the ability to achieve greater success in my lifetime than anything else in creation, than all the rocks and the plants and the animals and even the other nations. But it depends, part of it depends on me. It depends on my ability to wait in certain situations. The Gemara says, Habol et Taher, when a person makes a decision that they want to be pure, they want to improve, they want to grow, Hashem's response is, Hamtein, can you wait? Do you have the patience? In this week's Parsha, Parshas Ekev, we find Hashem speaking to Moshe Rabbeinu, and He says to Moshe Rabbeinu about the Jews entering the land of Israel and conquering it at the time, and acquiring it and settling it. Hashem says, Lo tuchal kalotam maher. You will not be able to eliminate the problems quickly. They're going to be solved, but it won't happen quickly. Me'at agorshenu. Slowly, slowly, or as we say in Arabic, shweya, shweya. Hashem says, I will solve the problems. The problems will be solved, and the Jews will achieve success. But part of the test, part of the free choice involves that ability to wait, and while a person is waiting, to be able to handle that waiting correctly. A person can wait with a sad face, with a long face, with a lack of trust and faith, a lack of confidence, or a person can put on that look of success, that feeling that I have it already. There's a very famous story told about one of Rabbi Natan's students, and this really will bring it more clearly and more down to earth for us. The closest student of Rabbi Nachman was Rabbi Natan, Rabbi Natan of Nemarov, the city of Nemarov. And there's a book, Through Fire and Water, that describes the difficulties, the struggle that this person had in coming close to Hashem and finding his mentor and achieving his success in life. This person was raised in a family that was very wealthy. His father was both very learned religiously and also very successful financially. He owned some of the largest department stores in the Jewish community at the time in several different cities. And in his quest, in Reb Noson's quest for coming close to Hashem, at a certain point his father disagreed with how he was going about it, and his father disowned him, pretty much. Just as we find in the Gemara, one of our most famous leaders, Rabbi Akiva, the great Rabbi Akiva, who ended up marrying a girl who was the daughter of one of the wealthiest men at that time, Kalbat Savua, and her father saw Rabbi Akiva as a shepherd at the time, couldn't imagine the future that this person had, and he told his daughter, if you marry this man, I disown you. You'll have nothing. And this girl, who grew up in one of the wealthiest Jewish homes, the Torah says that on their wedding night, they had to rent a barn, and they had to sleep on beds made of straw. Try to imagine a level of poverty we're talking about for a girl who grew up in the greatest affluence. And it was because she saw, she was able to look ahead. She was able to see into the future the potential that this husband had. Rabbi Akiva went on to study for 24 years to become one of the greatest leaders of the Jewish people. And sure enough, his father-in-law, when he met him eventually, not knowing who he was, simply knowing that he was being introduced to one of the greatest rabbis of the generation, the father-in-law said to him, can I ask you a question? I took a vow 24 years ago to disown my daughter because of the man she met.